Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. Before the bridges came, before the city stretched its arms to the sky, there was a voice carried by the great Niger, whispered in the winds that danced through the Obunike caves. A voice that told the stories of kings, traders, warriors, and dreamers. That voice still speaks. That voice is us. We are Udala Radio, 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
When politics unfolds, when decisions are made, we reveal the impact. Welcome to the Polity, your deep dive into the forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. You? I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They finish school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
It is 18 minutes past 9 o'clock in our studio. Good morning to you and welcome to the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. My name is Chisom Chinedi. Franklin Ebuka is here and Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki is also here. Good morning, Franklin.
Yes, good morning, Chisom, and good morning to everybody listening to us. Like we do always say, people of Onitsha and every other person listening to us this very morning. Of course, we are glad to converge once more for us to have our tete-a-tete the way we do on this very radio. And of course, today promises to be quite exciting because I will have lots of things happening. And this very morning, I woke up to the video of the lady who did another Kwan 1 Part 2 at the Lagos airport. This one involved Ibom Air, and I saw how this very girl was trying to beat up everybody just because she was asked to undergo certain kinds of clarifications. And that keeps me wondering if this is a new law that we have sung, we have sung to. Maybe because you have connection to one person and you think that you cannot be subjected to certain kinds of clarifications. And then on the other side too, like just I was sharing off air, about this Onitsha North 1 constituency election where we have 9 candidates representing 9 parties who are vying for this very election coming. That's August 16th. That's by Saturday. But we only hear about only 2 or 3 persons, and I'll be asking, what are others doing? I learned that there are about 3 women who are in this very race, representing YPP, APCA, ADC, and others. I know APC has a man vying for them. So those ones who we haven't heard about, we have heard nothing about them. So what are they doing? Are they really in this very context, or did I just dare to make up the numbers?
Tony would always tell you there are pretenders and there are contenders. Tony, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chisom. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, the Anambra. Good morning, Onitsha. Don't you do? Wherever you are listening to us from, it's always a pleasure. Good morning to God Almighty, the author and finish of our faith. And we say good morning to everyone under the reach of our voice. We're back right here in our sanctuary where we invoke not just the rhythmic flow of our thoughts, but at the same time to do justice to some of the issues presented before us, and we are going to confront us as well. Just like you asked me, there are always pretenders, there are always contenders in every context. Many people are in the contest for different reasons. Some are there to win, some are there to make a mark, some are there to show themselves, and some are there to also do what they have been asked to do, to be a spoiler to those who are actually the contenders. So it depends on the reasons these parties or these people, depending on their reasons. But we know very well, just like you said, we hear more of 2 candidates as far as our nation North 1 constituency is concerned. And why these 2 candidates? Probably because we understand the reason. One of the candidates comes from a ruling political party in the state, and the other comes from another party, but because the husband was the last occupant of that very seat. You understand the narratives, and there are those who are behind these candidates, and interestingly, both are women, and we see it as a way to also bring women back into politics. And when we talk about Onitsha North 1 constituency, we are looking about 8 wards. We are looking at Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, Ward 6, Ward 7, Ward 8, Ward 9, and Ward 10. I think these wards constitute Onitsha North 1 constituency. I'm aware that those in Ward 3, that is in Lantern 1, their voting point is usually DMGS. That's their voting point, their voting venue. And then even those in Ward 4, their voting point is Metropolitan Secondary School. And then that's in Lantern 2. For those, when you talk about Ward 5, in Lantern 3, I'm aware that their voting point is Anyebunam Primary School. And when you talk about Ward 4, that is Health Center Boye. And then, I'm sorry, when you talk about Ward 6 now, because I've talked about Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, then Ward 6, that is in Lantern 4, Health Center Boye. And then Ward 7, that is in Lantern 5, I vote for Washington Memorial Grammar School. And then you also talk about those that vote at Ezechima Primary School, that is in Lantern 6, and that happens to be one of the wards. And we know very well, I think those who are living in American quarters, I don't know if you are part of this election. You may not really be part of this election because where you vote is all since primary school. So we understand this delineation. Just like I said earlier on, you've got Ward 3, Ward 4, Ward 5, Ward 6, Ward 7, Ward 8, Ward 9, Ward 10. I think the last of the ward there has to do with even, I think, I don't know, I wouldn't want to say we are, if I'm a registered voter here in Onitsha or not, but I'm aware that if there are those who are also voting at Ekene Diluchukwu, that's Ekene Gate. So that's the Elantan 7 or 8. Yeah, they're part of those that will be voting on Saturday. So,
Tony, can I tell you something? Because guess what? Because this morning when I was coming, I ran into 2 women who were in a tricycle, and they were discussing this on Onitsha North 1 constituency by-election. Okay. And one person told the other that, where are you aligned? And the person said, I'm aligned with YPP. The other one said, no, we cannot do this. Of course, the governor has done so much for us. We cannot decide the governor. That's why you have to work for ABGA. But where I'm going to is this. I look at the 3 women who are contesting for this very by-election. And can I say that they are the contenders, so to say? Forgive me if I say that. But from what we have seen so far, they are the faces we have seen.
The 3 women, or 2 out of the 3?
The 3 women, because
even actually one of them. I only started hearing of her just recently.
That's what I think that one was waiting for because was it on Saturday? I think it was Saturday that she launched her campaign. That was on Saturday.
That's 1 week to the election.
Yeah, she launched her campaign here in Onitsha. I think Washington Memorial Grammar School. That was where she launched her campaign, and I saw that YPP, Guba candidate, and the running mate, they were all there to join her in that very campaign. But look at where I'm driving to. The ABGA candidate says people should vote for her because she belongs to the ruling party, and at the same time that she has some experience when it comes to legislation. Then the candidate for the ADC says, vote for me, let me go and complete or continue from where my husband stopped. And the third person for the YPP, Princess Ndiwe, says, vote for me because I'm from the same clan with the person who was occupying the position before she was killed. I think it's Oboza. So I look at how the narratives have been going. It seems as if it's an election that is being contested based on sympathy.
I think, our people are full of emotions, there's no doubt. And our people are full of sentiment. And they will tell you, I've heard such sentiment too. Oh, you are contesting maybe for them, they have designated it to be the property of one person or the other. But one thing is certain. In the political arena, in the political field, what the constituents are so much concerned about is delivery, capacity to deliver. And we've seen members of the State House of Assembly come and gone. And some will tell you, if a particular political party says, or a candidate of a political party says that she is going there to do what other members of her political parties haven't done, that would be so outrageous. That how can you tell us that you're going to do what other members see? The point is, everybody is gifted to do one thing or the other, and many of these candidates, I don't know, because many of them have not put themselves or submitted themselves to debate where would take those ingredients and see if they have what it takes to be a good legislator. It's not about going there to do empowerment. People thought that legislative business is all about empowerment.
Well, because we do not want to dwell on this so much, I mean, we haven't even seen what the front pages of the headlines say. Tony, I'd simply ask you a very small question, and I hope you answer it quite in a very fast way. Are you dragging them to come for debates when governorship candidates shy away from debate? Presidential candidates run away from debate, and you reach, for the want of a better expression, you reach state, not even federal, and you expect what exactly?
That is the problem we have here. Many people, many voters do not know these candidates. They may know the party, but remember one thing: party is just the platform. Issue of performance is something candidates have to deliver. And you talked about this issue of debate. Many of them, you are right. the last governorship election in Anambra State, we had a debate and we saw the 4 contenders. I could recall very well that I saw Andoba, who was at that time the candidate of APC until that was nullified by the Supreme Court. I also saw our own governor, Professor Chukuma Soludo, CFR. He was there during the debate. Val Ozibo was also there. I think these were the 3 men that had that debate prior to the 2021 gubernatorial election in Anambra State. So there was a debate. And it was in that debate that a lot was exposed. Certain things we did not know came to life. That is that. But coming back, I've seen state assembly members, many of them don't even believe in the system. Many of them believe that they can outsmart each other, rig election, write results, block this. Most times they pay more attention to their rigging machineries as against what they will bring if they are elected. And how many of them are even elected? We've asked this question, but the truth remains that we keep our eyes open and our fingers crossed till that very day. But our own is to educate the voters. We have that responsibility as enshrined, as provided under Section 22 of the 1999 Constitution to ensure that we let the voters know what to expect. So if you are going out to vote on that very day, what is that do you have in mind for any of these candidates to achieve? So you have to stick that in mind. So if you think it's going to be emotional sentiment, don't come back and complain. But if you think it's going to be service delivery, then definitely you look at those who you think, based on antecedent or based on what you've known about them. If you've not known anything about them, that is why the debate becomes important. I think we must find a way to make debate to be a compulsory litmus test for any candidate before the person qualifies as a candidate. Or if a person is a candidate already, the person must be subjected to debate so that people will ask questions. We have a diverse community here, diverse culture, diverse everything. So people should know whom they are voting for. So we keep all these things clear. But then we'll let you know some of the places that will be voting come this Saturday. Yeah, we've just talked about it in a way. So about 8 wards within Onitsha North. Because Onitsha North has Onitsha North 1 state constituency and it has Onitsha North 2 state constituency. The one that is having this election is that of North 1, not North 2. Remember, North 1. So these are state constituency. But under federal constituency, both of them are mixed together. You have Onitsha North and South federal constituency. So that's not federal. That is state constituency. So we have North 1. So those who are under North 2, we also make them know they will not participate. So they may not think they are going to vote that very day. They will not participate. And we even where we are now falls under North 2. But then close by falls under North 1. So we must make these things clear.
All right, then let's go straight to seeing what the front pages of the papers say. On our desk this morning, we have The Nation, Vanguard, The Punch, and The Guardian newspapers. Starting with The Nation this morning, banner headline, EFCC OBJ library lock horns over arrest of 93 fraud suspects. The writer, anti-graft agency acted on credible intelligence. Another writer, it was invasion of OLPL premises. On page 2, that's where you'd find that story. 176 illegal estates, what government sanctions has cost us by developers. The writer, residents, investors panic. That's on page 2. Wanted church leader arrested in Lagos for cross-border drug trafficking. Wow. Page 5. Why Niger Delta region will back Tinubu in 2027. Otuaro on page 4. Opposition tackles governor over deputy's 7-month sick leave. Okay. And the writer here, why we can't act by House of Assembly. This story is on page 2. That's speaking about Taraba State Deputy Governor being away for 7 months, supposedly on sick leave. What's happening? Fire me, I remain APC member in Ekiti. Ex-governor for Yebanji. On page 3, on page 7, FIRS's e-invoicing system hits 5 trillion naira in early surge. 20% of firms join in 2 weeks. On page 7, On page 4, you'd find two stories. Ogbe died peacefully in his sleep, says family member. Aldo Ogbe died on Saturday. From report we have, he died peacefully, no drama, no illness, nothing of that sort. Family fixes September 9 to 12 for Doyin Abiola's funeral on page 4. Pick up a copy of The Nation to see these stories and more.
Okay, so let's look at the Vanguard newspaper and see the headlines we have here. We have the banner headline, which says, sugar importation rises as local production falters. You can see the story on page 25 of the Vanguard newspaper. It has a rider, sugarcane farmers lament neglect access to sugar refiners. Then another story here, which is above the nameplate. P2B has integrity. He will keep his one-time promise. MBF is on page 8. Obasanjo Library kicks as EFCC raids hotel. It's on page 6 of Vanguard newspaper. Looming strike. FG to pay 7 months arrears of doctors, health workers. It's on page 9 of Vanguard newspaper. Tariff slash. EERC moves to resolve Enugu power outage. That's on page 11. In fact, on Friday, not on Friday, until yesterday evening, I was thinking whether the crisis they have in Enugu has affected Oka, because since Friday till Sunday afternoon, there was no power supply in my area, and I was just wondering what happened. Okay, so we now move over to the next story on Vanguard. It says FG's fresh warning, states mobilize against flooding. It's on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. 2027 Niger Delta will support only Tinubu or Tuaro. See page 19 of Vanguard newspaper. Tax Reform Act will cripple our operations in 48 hours. AON is on page 9. Check that very story. And then there's also a picture story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, which says unveiling of 12 formerly 9 mobile in Lagos. Okay, that mobile is now known as T2, by the way. So these are the story we have on Vanguard newspaper.
Does that rebranding make any difference to their network? I mean, what we should be looking at right now is will services Nigerians get being better, and not about the branding or rebranding. On the Punch newspaper, Doyin Abiola, media guru, reflects on democracy soldiers' life on page 3. I take that again. Doyin Abiola, media gurus, reflect on democracy soldiers' life on page 3. States hit by 68% spike in foreign debt payments. Riders' debt servicing threatens states' fiscal stability from NATI. Lagos Rivers others spend 235 billion naira in 6 months. Find that on page 19. A flood crisis of G predicts more devastation in 15 states on page 7. India buys Nigerian crude as Dangote imports US oil on page 20. And EFCC arrests 93 suspects for internet fraud in Ogun. On page 5, FG launches e-fiscal platform to crack down on tax evasion. On page 19, another UK-based Nigerian jailed 5 years for rape. On pages 4 and 5, Rivers LG poll umpire under fire amid ADC APC attacks. On page 8.
Now, how do we explain that very irony about our crude oil, where India is importing her own? Dangote refinery here in Nigeria is importing from US. I don't know what the story is all about. Then let's look at the Guardian newspaper. From the banner headline says, from Broad Street to Atlantic City, congestion, asset depreciation push HNIS businesses to a co-Atlantic City. Check the story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Above the nameplate, Abiodun Daniel Bika over demolition notices on properties on page 5. New Constitution, Senate welcomes recommendations at public hearing. You can see page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Atiku Falana kick as NYC defense withheld certificate is on page 4. I think this very story, got some reactions over the weekend because that very member known as Raya, of course, she went on Instagram to disclose that her discharge certificate was not given to her after she finished her service here. And the NYC has come out to defend the action, saying that was done because she had 2 months extension. For that very reason, she wasn't given her discharge certificate because she was absent from one particular month clearance. But Falana Natiku is saying that does not hold any water. Maybe you are trying to, victimize this very core member because she criticized the president sometime during her service here. Then another story we have on the Guardian newspaper says EFCC raids hotel in Obasanjo Library. Management threatens lawsuit. Is on page 4. Then cracks widen in ADC coalition as Shekarau allies consider new platform. These are the stories you have on Guardian newspaper.
All right, then we are proceeding to see what these stories are exactly about, and we are starting the conversation. I think I'd prefer we start from the small talks, right? Starting from the small talks. Well, actually, when you talk about the polity, nothing is actually small. But Tony, 93 fraudsters are arrested at Obasanjo's the library, the hotel inside the complex, and all of the controversies that have come from that particular incident. What do you make of it?
I don't know very well that people are quick enough to make opinions about the incident. I have been able to dissect the incident myself, and the back and forth between Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library and then the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. If you look at it, many of them, I think for the benefit of doubt, we'll call the library OOPL. When I say OOPL, I mean Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library. So they are not in support of what EFCC has done. They said, you invaded our homes. You invaded our house at a wee hour, violated any known thing, and went straight to damage some of our properties. And I have to ask, what is the modus operandi, especially when EFCC goes all out for this issue of fraudsters, internet fraudsters? EFCC, yes, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, but I think, and I'm still thinking, that they have more energy when it comes to internet fraudsters as against those, not just politicians and those who have been sabotaging our economy. If you look at some of the cases, if they tell you they have prosecuted successfully 3,000 cases, if you look at those 3,000 cases, 99% of the 3,000 cases are solely about internet fraudsters. Yes, there is no need to banter works. We know very well that we must ensure good internet climate, no doubt. But the way and manner they are going about it, is it a standard operational procedure? Remember what happened in Oka, the case that brought the issue of the IGP monitoring team and the Attorney General of Anambra State, where EFCC officer by one Shahabi was killed. According to the owner of the premises, he saw somebody scaling the fence at night and the person was armed. Before he knew what was going on, he has to activate self-defense mode. And in activating self-defense mode, the EFCC operative was killed, and then another person was also injured. Is their kind of work predisposes that they must scale fence, they must come at the wee hour, they must break ceiling and get in a way to get those internet fraudsters? Some would say this is raid, and in going about issue of raid, there is no operational standard. Raid is in a way trying to enclose the suspects, if possibly they are with anything, and ensure that these things are recovered from them. But for me, this is not intelligence driven operation. It is more like Agboro style driven operation. Agboro style driven operation, where people are, you clamp down everything. Intelligent. Most times when they go for these things, do they monitor these people for a specific period to know when to nip them without causing any ripple? Must you cause ripple? Must you damage properties? Must you damage belongings? Must you break through the ceiling for you to get this? Is that the way it is done elsewhere? Is it part of what we copied? Is that the way to ensure arrest? Or you want to create an impression that you're working? For crying out loud, EFCC, their operational method has caused more harm than good. Yes, I remember when they broke through the ceiling of Rocha Sokorocha right before a presidential primary. The presidential primary was slated, and people thought it was politically motivated, and they have to come to defend themselves that it wasn't. So who do you tell those things? So we must look around, and since the appointment of Olukayode, we thought that he will bring a lot of reforms. And these reforms, we are looking at intelligence unit of Tatari Commission. Intelligence unit. If you go around to conduct a raid where that raid is intelligence driven, you don't cause ripple. You don't cause ripple for any reason.
Okay, so if you look at this very story and you look at the reaction that has come from the management of the hotel in question, because I think the Obasanjo Library and the hotel, they are in the same premises. Now, the library is saying that they are going to seek redress in court because they felt that the fundamental rights of guests who came for a certain event at that very hotel, that their rights were violated. And then they even said that some policemen who were deployed to ensure security at that very event, that they were on ground, but they didn't have knowledge of such an invasion. Now, where my question is going is this very well, because we have seen EFCC, carry out activities in different ways, and in most of the cases, we have criticized EFCC. Now, in this very scenario, is it a question of not having trust in the policemen who were on ground, as well as the management of the facilities? Because under normal circumstances, there's supposed to be a communication between side A and side B to know what is going on. But where there was no communication, so is it that there is that this mistrust between the two agencies, maybe between EFCC and the policemen who were on ground, and then the management of the facility? Maybe they think that if they tell them what they are what they are coming for, they might lead the information to the targets, and they are going to escape.
I don't know whether it's a case of trust. In most times, one agency or one department tries to outshine each other. And for me, even the EFCC that came for that threat, they may even conclude that the policemen on duty may have, for whatever reason, proximity, connive with those people, and possibly are well compromised. So that is taken. But the key issue is, what is the standard operating procedure? I'm aware, if we go to United States of America, where we copy what we copied, I'm aware that the main federal agency that fights internet fraud over there is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, through its cyber division and the Internet Crime Complaint Center. They have what they call IC3. And then in so doing, I'm aware that even the United States Secret Service, the one you call USSX, handles certain financial cyber crimes. When it comes to financial cyber crimes, the USSX handles it. And I'm aware that even the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, is also involved, but they focus more on the consumer protection and scam. If you scam people, like where people don't even know it. I don't think EFCC is even aware that if somebody sells a product to you where you believe that this product is
the fake
Apple, and it turns out to be a kind of a copied Apple, that is a financial crime, and that is also economic crime. And the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, is also part of the FBI. There is a unit. If it has to do with tricking somebody into buying a product that is not what it is, like what we have in our markets here, virtually in all our markets here, many of them commit such crime. It is also involved. In fact, even Homeland Security investigation is also part of the Federal Bureau of Investigation unit that handles some of these things. So, but let me say this: they do not break two ceilings like Hollywood style. They don't break two ceilings, and they ensure that there's tactical necessity. There is what they call in the operation tactical necessity, and if a raid is planned, they normally serve a search warrant. Now, was there any search warrant to such invasion at Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library? And there must be a standard entry access point. See, why don't we do things in this country in orderly manner, respecting human rights without violating them? It's expected that agencies treat everyone as if the people or those people are in jungle. That is so nuisating, very nuisating. But I'm also have to let you know that the only time you may see something of a dramatic forced entry is if there's an agency called SWAT. I remember when it was brought down in Nigeria, people say, "Oh, you want to copy SWAT again in the United States of America?" Or if there are hostages, the people involved, they are keeping hostages. That you are, for whatever reason, you get entry where criminals take hold of people. That is where there are hostages. You will see SWAT. You will see Homeland Department. You will see them breaking through the city to rescue those hostages. That's the only time you will see them breaking through somebody's.
So what you're saying is that all of the dramatic way of getting to supposed criminals, because they are innocent until proven guilty by a law of competent jurisdiction, is all theatrics.
Very dramatic, theatric in every sense, and we should do something about this. This should not be allowed to continue. You may be in your home having a fun with your family or even with your wife. All of a sudden, somebody breaks through the ceiling. All right, in the name of anything.
Let's shift to the political circle. Today is Monday. A lot of things happened over the weekend, like Franklin pointed out when we started. And so, former Ekiti State Governor Kayode Fayemi has said that he is still a committed member of the All Progressives Congress APC in Ekiti State. He has also come out to deny any, links between him and the African Democratic Congress, that's the ADC coalition platform. Do you see any truth in what he has said? Or maybe, let me start with how you feel about it for starters. Do you believe him, or is this possibly coming from a place of what the desired not being available and now the available being desired?
I think if you look around, remember Fayemi historically has been an ally of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He was the second person to step down for Mr. President. In fact, he had spoken at that primary where he had echoed what he intended to do for the country if he elected the president or if he becomes the candidate of APC for presidential, election. And then Akpabio started the stepping down. Akpabio came and stepped down. And then Fayemi had to come back to the podium where he had finished talking to say, oh, he was going to follow in the same step with Akpabio, if you recall that presidential primary. But then they have become, just like I said, historically ally. But recently, there are times he has been spotted to be publicly criticizing the president administration, particularly on economic and infrastructure issues. I remember
has practically done that. Do you think that's enough reason for him to want to step aside from the APC?
I'm just trying to give you the background why the rumor that is being forward, if it has any footing, if it has any meaning or not. I'm aware that sometime around July, he stated that Nigerians are hungry, not happy with Tinubu. That is Fayemi. And in fact, he cited widespread hunger, inflation, and delayed federal road reimbursement as reason for public discontent. So people are beginning to think, if Fayemi can come out in this way, former governor of Ekiti State, to make such statements, does it mean that he's trying to have a foot right there with the ADC? But he has come out and said, no, I don't have any connectivity, any network with ADC. He just voicing his concern. But remember, it was expected that he will be one of those that will be given ministerial appointments. He was disappointed in that regard, and no one can explain why the president did not even consider making him a minister, having stepped down for him, even though his stepping down was something born out of Akpabio doing the whole thing first. So we saw how it went. I'm aware that he specifically blamed the federal government, that's Tinubu's government, for poor road conditions in the Ekiti State, and he was so much enraged about that over 18 to 20 billion spent on repairs by his administration went unreimbursed. He was still talking about it, that the Ekiti State should be reimbursed on the amounts he spent on certain road repairs, but that has not even attracted Mr. President's attention. So he has been making these comments from time to time. So people begin to think that it could be on his way to ADC, but he has come out and say, no, I don't have any business with ADC. The real issue is the disappointment is suffered for not being considered a minister. For me, that's just the real issue. The way he's sounding, he has waited for long. He has been asked to be patient, and he has been patient for all this while, and nothing seems to be coming. So he comes out in this version. For me, that's what I think.
Okay, so let me just give you a bit of background, because on Saturday there was this very Twitter space or X space, which was held. It was about policies of 2027, and during that very X space, Ebuka Franklin said that he and the Fayemi were the ones who began coalition conversation. That it began from an informal meeting that they had. From that very informal meeting, they began to discuss politics and the idea of what about floating a coalition that can contest against Tinubu in 2027, and that was where this whole thing started. And then other expanded meetings began to hold, and today they have the coalition. This is exactly what gave birth to this very denial. Now we have seen media office of Fayemi reacting, saying that there's no atom of truth in what they said. But there's one part of that very statement that caught my attention. He said even if Fayemi was involved in a conversation to advance Nigeria democracy, that he didn't say that he was going to leave APC. Now Tony has highlighted some of the things that have happened ever since President Tinubu became the president of Nigeria. You also forgot that on Democracy Day, after Mr. President honored some of the people,
he was not honored.
Yeah, he believed that fought for democracy. He wasn't honored, and he even pointed out that the main actors of the June 12 were not honored. Now, this very morning, we woke up to find out that the Ekiti State Governor has dissolved his cabinet, and people are trying to read political meaning into it. They're saying maybe he did so because they want to exit Fayemi men in the cabinet. But on the other side, people are saying no, it's a normal routine for the governor who feel that he needs to reject his cabinet. So are you trying to read meaning into this?
There is meaning into it, there's no doubt. We know in politics, any actions taken, most of these actions are politically motivated, and sometimes they try to give you the reason behind those actions, trying to extricate the actions themselves from the real reasons. So if you look at it, Fayemi seems to be in a political wilderness. That's what it is like. He is in a political wilderness. Fayemi is also in a political limbo. He talks a lot. I think people cannot fathom where he belongs. So, but he is trying to voice his concern as somebody who worked tirelessly to ensure that President Tinubu won this election. Remember, the state was the first a result declared by INEC, and then Tinubu won that state. Even at the wee hour, even when everybody was sleeping, the state result had come out, and then surprisingly, Tinubu won. And Fayemi believes that there were those that were on ground to deliver President Tinubu in a Ekiti state. And what has he to show for? But remember, politics is a game of interest. For him to have talked about subsidy removal, remember in one of his statements, he said that good intention does not translate to good governance. That was his quote. Good intention. So he also faulted the way a manner Mr. President removed for subsidy. And he started making these statements long after he had waited to be considered to be a minister. And that wasn't forthcoming. That is one. And Mr. President has also, in his own political style, spotted Fayemi could be a political chameleon that he takes in his sports that is convenient for him.
So does that mean that there are some persons who are within the APC bloc now who supposedly are aligned with Mr. President, but in the real sense of it, they are just weighing the options, testing the water to see the depth, and maybe if by the time Mr. President unveils the list of his ambassadors and other appointments, and they're not in any way compensated or brought into the government, they might consider to switch their ledger.
A lot is going on there. If you look at the former governor of Ekiti State as well, Fayose, who has aligned completely with the president, and you also quite agree with me that Fayose and Fayemi, they are not on the same political page. So, and somebody like Fayemi would like, if some of us that have worked and deliver Mr. President in the state, if he goes on to align with those who never work with him and leaving most of us behind. Remember one of these APC stakeholders that died recently, Onopasa, if I can remember. Onopasa nearly fought Rufai on television. But the same Onopasa came back and said, Mr. President has derailed. In fact, he said he started a campaign against Mr. President. If you can remember Onopasa, that very video that went viral. So the point,
the one that has seemingly lost a lot of weight.
And that is it. And remember, Onopasa could also anchor his grievances on the fact that many of them that work for Mr. President were not considered for anything good. And those who never worked, look at Daniel Buala, who even worked against Mr. President, being drafted into the equation. So the point I'm trying to make is, Biodun Onyebanji has aligned himself, the governor of Ekiti State has aligned himself completely with Mr. President. And anything that will make it look that he's not fully aligned, he's trying to
take it out of the way.
That is exactly why he deserves his cabinet.
Right,
and possibly to get the Fayemi man, because Fayemi remains his political godfather. But now he has chosen political convenience as against political relationship.
All right, then. Let's take a break at this point, attend to some commercials. When we come back, we take a look at some other matters. We're going to quickly also take a look at issues concerning River State local government elections. We're also going to be quickly taking a look at that report concerning a deputy governor that's been away for 7 months. There are some more flood warnings. We're going to look at all of those when we come back. Do stay.
From the commercial city of Onitsha comes Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the voice of the region, where authentic news and entertainment meet. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Anambra Patriots for Soludo. Soludo we na-arụ na Anambra steeti unu makwa na anyụkọ mamịrị ọnụ ọkpụ ụfụfụ ngwa bịakọtanụ n'igwe ka anyị kwado nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Chukwuma Soludo unu afụghị ihe niile ọ na-eme na mbara dị iche iche site na Anambra North South to Central na-ekwu okporo ụzọ niile nke ọrụgo na-ekwu ụlọ akwụkwọ nke ọ na-emepe na-ekwe hospital nke ọrụgo unu afụgonụ ka ụmụ nwaanyị anyị si wee na-amụ nwa n'udo free of charge ụmụ akwụkwọ wee na-agụ akwụkwọ n'efu ihe a niile ya na ihe ndị ọzọ ka Chukwuma Soludo na-eme na Anambra steeti a na-ekwusi maka new government house nke kwuru okwu ya kemgbe 1991 ya bụ 34 years na ya na Soludo arụgharịghị ya. Kedu maka new solution fund city nwanne m Soludo nọ n'ọrụ ndị Anambra ọrụ ọma ama nkwụkwọ agụ bịanụ n'igwe ka anyị kwado nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Chukwuma Soludo. Anambra Patriots for Soludo.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Many thanks for keeping it locked. It's still the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM, and we are proceeding to look at some matters arising from the proposed River State local government elections. Tony, we are learning that on Friday, the state's Independent Electoral Commission, RISIAC, began screening the candidates that won the primary elections of their parties for the August 30th local government elections. However, there's still that discontent among some political stakeholders concerning the place of the sole administrator of River State in this entire circus. He is in no place, they say, judging by what the Constitution says, to hold that election. What do you think is going to happen now?
I guess he will go on to act the script given to him by his political promasters and we know those who are his political paymasters. And I'm surprised, I'm shocked that a sole administrator, a military person or with the background of the military, who has no constitutional basis of being a sole administrator, because there is nothing like sole administrator in our constitution. I have turned every page of the constitution. There is no place provided for sole administrator. There is no such position in the constitution. Even when the constitution mentioned emergency rule, it never envisaged, it never anticipated anything sole administrator. I'm also aware that with the sole administrator being illegal, as far as I'm concerned, purely unconstitutional, going on to escalate such unconstitutionality. Section 1, Section 7, Subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution guarantees that the system of local government must be carried out through democratically elected local government council. And I also ask the state to ensure the existence of such council under the law. Under what? The law. For the establishment, structure, composition, finance, and function. And I'm also aware that the Supreme Court had made a lot of rulings on this issue of local government, the existence. And if you go by the River State Independent Electoral Commission law, that is the RISEC, which is statutorily a body established under the law to ensure local government administration. Now, a sole administrator who is not a governor, who lacks the lawful authority to appoint or confirm RISEC members. Who gave him the authority to even appoint without a valid RISEC? Because those RISEC members and then the RISEC chairman he appointed, and the National Assembly confirmed. He made the appointment and National Assembly confirmed. Without the RISEC being properly constituted, elections cannot legitimately be conducted in the eyes of the law. That body that wants to conduct that election is not properly constituted. I'm aware that there have been quite a lot of discussions about this, legal and otherwise. Remember, there is a federal high court in Port Harcourt that granted an interim injunction restraining the sole administrator from appointing local government administrators, even appointing the RISEC chairman. That interim order or interim injunction was defiled. And I'm aware that National Coordinator of Advocates for People's Rights and Justice also made a statement that the sole administrator has no legal mandate to appoint RISEC officials or even conduct local government election. Can illegality beget illegality? That's what it is like. That is what it appears. I'm aware that we are descending so low in our democratic experiment. We're descending so low. I don't understand the basis. Can anybody provide any law, any act, anywhere that sole administrator has power to appoint? The past sole administrators we've had, which had been a subject of legal debate, the one we had in Plateau State, the one we had also in the Kiri State, they did not go as far as conducting an election. They did not go as far. Their mandate was to stabilize, to bring about peace and stability in the state. But this very person is no more talking about peace and stability in the state, conducting a local government election. What are these people doing? And I understand, if you have those local government officials, means that one man, Wike, has a hold on the grassroots for the 2027. The idea is the battle of 2027, and which has demonstrated in many ways that he is doing this for Mr. President. And it seems that Mr. President has backed him. The National Assembly, they are culprit in this illegality. See, we must state the obvious.
So would they listen? Because if you look at what has been in Rivers now in respect of this very local government election scheduled for August 30th, I think. Look at IPAC, which comprises all political parties. IPAC has kicked, asking that this very election should be shelved. You look at the elders of Rivers State, they've also kicked, saying that this election should be shelved. Some other stakeholders have also kicked. CSOs have kicked. I don't know anybody who has not kicked except APC state chapter of Rivers State led by Tony Okocha. That's the only person who has not kicked against this local government election. And this election is going to be conducted, let's say 1 month before the 6 months
expiration. Before the expiration of the 6 months
exactly in Rivers State, it's going to happen. So in that very case, there might be need for the sole administrator to stay more in office to be able to complete this very election. That's one view on one side. Then on the other side too, people are saying, if you say that peace has been restored between Fubara and the Wike, just like Tony Ko was saying yesterday on TV, he said, if you think that you've been able to broker peace between Yeson Wike and Semi Fubara, why won't you allow the 6 months emergency rule in River State to expire, and then Fubara comes back and then goes ahead to conduct an election that can be seen to be legitimate? Because a sole administrator does not have any power under the constitution to conduct any election in that very state. But the question is, would they listen? Because if one of the agreement is to hand over structure to Wike, so would they listen in any way to hold forth on this? Don't forget that Supreme Court judgment that nullified the election, local government election in River State, that was in February. There was an issue that was determined. One of the bases for that very notification was the fact that RISEC should not go ahead, or RISEC would not go ahead to conduct an election with a register that was not updated. So that register, has it been updated for RISEC to be planning to go on with that very local government polls?
I think for me, I'm not so much interested in shadows. I'm so much interested in substance. The issue of whether the voter register is updated or not updated, the bottom line remains that sole administrator cannot conduct local government election in River State.
Well, remember, people who are supposed to listen listening.
But the point remains, because if you look at section 11 of the 1999 constitution, the National Assembly may make laws for the federation or any part thereof with respect to the maintenance and securing of the public safety and public order, and providing, maintaining and securing of such supplies and other things. It's also noted. And also, nothing in this section shall preclude a House of Assembly from making laws with respect to the matter referred to it in this section, including the provision for maintenance and securing of such supplies and services as may be designated by the National Assembly. I'm just trying to let you know that there are things that the National Assembly cannot even do, even when they feel the State Assembly cannot make any law. And then it tells you a lot. If you look at section 11, subsection 5, that this says, for the purpose of this subsection of this section, the House of Assembly shall not be deemed to be unable to perform its duty because the president dissolved a state assembly when there is no need, which he has no powers to dissolve. And now you go on to appoint. There are things that are purely exclusive reserve of a governor, and it has to do with appointment and then confirmation, the appointment of anybody. And there are things that are under the exclusive preserve of the State Assembly. That is confirmation of any appointee. National Assembly cannot perform that role for any state. That is not within their ambit. That is not within the gamut of the roles assigned to them when a State Assembly cannot function. I must state here that it is important that these powers, they are constitutionally exclusive to the governor making appointments. Now, the sole administrator, whom such role was imported from nowhere, from abyss, because such role or such office was an illegal importation, now goes on to expand such illegality. So I have stated here that there are some things, there are some areas that are exclusively reserved for state executive discretion. So I don't know why these things are happening and everybody's keeping quiet. I'm not even bothering myself about the voter registers for the fact that RISEC, River State Independent Electoral Commission, is not properly constituted. And what makes it not properly constituted? Because the appointments were made by the sole administrator. To that extent, is not properly constituted and it cannot conduct any election. Any election so conducted is unconstitutional, is null, is void, and is totally illegal and is not in conformity with any known law.
So Tony, why is the Joint National Assembly ad hoc committee on emergency rule in River State, why is he keeping quiet? Because this committee was inaugurated to oversee the activities of the sole administrator in River State. But it appears that it was just set up for formality's sake, because it seems not to be oversighting anything in that very state.
They have been compromised. Even the committee, emergency committee, whatever you call it, is also illegal committee. It's not part of intended committee as you go through the Senate rule book, and at the same time if you go through the provisions of the Constitution or even the Act, National Assembly Act, because there is a National Assembly Act, these things are not found. You are constituted a committee on emergency where you go on to approve or disapprove. They can also make laws. The sole administrator will assent it. So if they make law now, if the National Assembly goes on to make law for the River State, which is not also within their own preclude, would they also give it to Mr. President to assent or give it to sole administrator? These things are dramatic. These people are acting Nollywood.
Can I ask again?
This is Nollywood for us.
Supposed to listen, and why is the person not listening? Why is Mr. President quiet? Because all of these things are an offshoot of the decision he made, and it is expected that when things like this come up, he would tackle them.
And Mike, you asked who is opposition seems to be not interested in this thing.
Why would opposition be interested when at the end of the day everything starts and ends at the desk of one man? Their interest has little or no.
My concern, we have said the need for opposition to thrive. Opposition makes democracy strong. Opposition put the government in power to its toes. Why is opposition, even when some people will say the ones they have talked, what happened?
That's what I asked you. I said at the end of it, everything stops.
It doesn't work that way. Opposition will keep talking even when nothing happens. Okay. And we've seen opposition in many countries. They don't give up. So once you've given up, it means that you are no more opposition. Opposition does not give up in any way. You keep talking, you keep hammering, telling the citizens what they should know that is right, that is constitutionally provided, giving citizens, that's high sense, because definitely there will be a next election, even when you think votes do not count. But I bet you there is much because the ruling government, what happened to PDP? Remember how PDP was so arrogant, so rude. Remember Tony anyone said that PDP will remain in power till 2060, and we are still in 2025. Do you know when is 2060? In fact, at a point he said 2050, extended it to 2060. They were believing that they can use their rigging machinery and rigging method to overwrite any result. But what happened to PDP?
What happened to PDP?
It's a lesson.
Big question there. Speaking about opposition, Taraba State is boiling because of the long absence of Deputy Governor Minu Andilahi Alkali from the state since January. Tony, it's said that he is on sick leave. But the big question is, 7 months later, nothing has been heard of him. And of course, the government is functioning. But he is supposed to have a duty. Who does it in his absence?
The deputy governor of any state, apart from being in charge of issue of boundary and others, has no other duty except assigned to by the governor. We must understand that. In fact, even the vice president, apart from chairing the National Economic Council, which is an advisory body, he has no other duty except assigned to them, Mr. President. What I mean by his
duty is this. Surely, doing everything alone would be too much for a governor. That is why the office of the deputy was put there in the first place. If a governor could do it all by himself, he wouldn't have any need to have an assistant. The deputy is there like the governor's assistant. And for 7 months, that duty of assisting the governor has been vacant, has not been, no one has been there to do that. Who has been doing that for the past 7 months? There are allegations or rumors that he is being removed from office. Is there any truth to that?
I think there is no automatic removal without due process. Section 189 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, outlines a deliberate and medically informed process for removing an incapacitated governor or even deputy governor. So nobody will start peddling the rumor that he has been removed. It doesn't work that way. So, and remember one thing, he's a deputy governor, he's not a governor. There is no issue of power transmission now. If we are to be the governor, everybody will be talking about he has to transmit power to the deputy so that for the state to function. And we've seen that in recent time where a governor was absent for quite a long after he had aircraft accident and he stayed for long. We saw that and how that brought political turmoil in that very state.
I think that's also Taraba State.
Taraba State. That is it, Sontai. And then you remember how the two camps fought daily. They thought it was a show of shame if that if we can remember that very well. So my concern is there is no specific time cap. There is no specific, as far as he has gotten that sick leave approved, everybody should leave him alone.
For all of the talk.
Definitely, he's not a governor. And I have said here, apart from the only constitutional role I've seen assigning to deputy governors being in charge of boundary of within the state. Outside that, every other role is the one assigned to him by the governor, his principal, his boss. In fact, the constitution makes it look that the governor is the boss, the deputy is his subject. Remember?
Not like his PA.
No, he's subject. If you call it PA, but he's his deputy. So he keeps him duty. And if he assigns him duty and he fails to perform, and then he hints that the role given to the deputy, he has not performed it, it can also form misconduct. Yes, and it can also be the reason for any. That is it. So it was one of the things Obaseki said about Chaibu, that some of the things he was asked to do, he never did some of those things, and for him, that's misconduct, and which the state assembly concurred that it was misconduct until there were procedures they didn't follow, and the court nullified Chaibu removal. So the point is, the deputy governor of Taraba State is not a man at the helms. They should leave him alone.
Okay, but Tony, the 1999 constitution envisages that there should be a governor and the deputy, and the two of them, they run on the same ticket.
Yes,
that is the way it is done. In fact, there's nobody who can contest for any governorship position without a running mate.
Yes,
and now in Taraba we have a running government that has no deputy governor. For 8 months, he has been incommunicado. He has not been seen even in public places for 8 months on account of ill health. And from what we gathered, when he took ill initially, he was first admitted at the National Hospital in Abuja, and later he was flown to Egypt when the health situation, became worse. And from what we gathered, the governor of these very states, Kefas Abu, that he has drafted in somebody to be running the office of the deputy governor of that very state. Now he has drafted in somebody. What's not this very man? I'm trying to remember his name, but the person he drafted in is somebody like a liaison officer. He drafted in to be running the office of deputy governor in his absence, and this has been confirmed by even the government that this is happening. But the government is saying that he's only acting in administrative capacity, and the question is, at what point in time would a deputy governor be declared incapacitated? Because for 8 months you have not functioned and you are drawing salaries. Your aides are drawing salaries and the office is vacant. Even if you are trying to say that there is no constitutional role for deputy governor, but we know that there are jobs that can be delegated to him to do once he's on that very seat, and now it's not being done, and somebody has been drafted in to fill that very space.
So that's like double payment.
Exactly. So at what point are we going to declare somebody incapacitated to be in an office, and then we begin the process? Because from the look of things now, it will take the executive and the legislature to be able to make this happen, because the state school has to declare that this man has become incapacitated, and they communicate to the House Assembly, who are going to begin the process on how to replace somebody who has become incapacitated. So at what point in time can we say that this person has become incapacitated? Take for instance the Damba Basuntai case when we made reference to. His own was that he was a governor and he was absent for a long time, and they kept his office being run in his name, whereas somebody else is doing the job. So how do we now solve this? How do we solve this very long term that somebody has not been even? Let's even imagine where you work and you are on sick leave for 8 months. How would the place of work take it? Would they continue to pay you until when you come back? Or at some point in time, they will say, since it has become prolonged, let's do it this very way. So in this case of governance, at what point in time can we declare that somebody can no longer function and then find a way to replace him?
I think let's situate everything based on what is happening in Taraba State. I'm aware that Aminu Abdullahi Akali, who is the deputy governor of Taraba State, has been away from public duties. That was since November 2024 due to stroke. He had a stroke. Let's be open to some of these things. He had a stroke, and that affected his speech. He initially sought treatment in Abuja before being flown to Cairo, Egypt for further medical attention. We are told that he is currently recuperating and is responding to treatment and is expected to resume his duty once recovered. And even if you look around, sometime around June, the Taraba State House of Assembly also dispelled rumor regarding any plans to declare the deputy incapacitated. I'm going to answer your question, but I'm just trying to give you a background of what happened. Dr. Emmanuel Lawson Hassan was the one appointed by the governor administratively to function in that role, not as a replacement, but to take on duties within that office, not as deputy governor. But the point remains, the deputy governor is indeed sick. There's no doubt. I have to maintain it here. But you ask the question, at what point can he be declared incapacitated? The point at which he will be declared incapacitated is if that sickness is permanent. He cannot recover from that sickness. If it is medically certified that the sickness he's into is something he cannot recover, then the State Executive Council or the State House of Assembly receive credible medical information that the Deputy Governor is permanently incapable of discharging his duty due to this physical or mental incapacity. Then the medical panel, the State Assembly, passes a resolution by 2/3 majority requesting the State Chief Judge to set up a medical panel of 5 medical practitioners, with at least one being a specialist in the suspected area of ailment. Then the panel examines the deputy governor and reports to the House of Assembly within the stipulated time. Then, if the panel's report confirms permanent incapacity and the House of Assembly accepts it by another 2/3 majority vote, then the deputy governor is declared incapacitated and ceases to hold office immediately. So that is the point. So the issue is that he is suffering from stroke, and we have seen people who have suffered stroke recover back. And this stroke, we know, is not something that you can say it is permanent incapacitation. So at this point, you may not need to declare that. Remember the procedure under section 189, which I have somehow summarized. So that is the point, and we have not got to that point.
All right then. Before we open up the phone lines, let's also quickly, Tony, touch on this states hitting or being hit by 6 to 8% spike in foreign debt payments. We are learning that states have collectively spent about 235.58 billion naira on servicing external debt obligations in the first half of 2025. Now, this is actually according to an analysis of the data from the Federal Account Allocation Committee disbursement released by the National Bureau of Statistics. The amount represents a sharp increase of 95.65 billion naira, or 68.4% when compared with the 139.92 billion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2024, showing the mounting pressure of dollar-denominated debt repayment on state finances in the wake of the naira's depreciation. Where does that leave the average Nigerian in terms of money to be spent on infrastructure and stuff like that, Tony?
It's very, very disheartening that even when fuel subsidies have been removed, we keep having this issue of debt rising. And I was made to understand that year-on-year debt incident has sharply risen to over 89%. I was 68% rather, not 89, 68%. Both the foreign debt spike, both subnational external obligations and media reports and also expert analysis also indicated that external debt servicing obligation in 2025, with some reporting roughly a 68% year-on-year jump. That is embarrassing. And I have also said Buhari within 8 years had a humongous debt burden from 12 trillion. He left it at 87 trillion. So what you need to do is do 87 minus 12. 87 trillion minus 12. That was the 65. Debt. The 65 trillion. That was the debt Buhari incurred in 8 years, even with subsidy being on. Yet we understand that the debt service obligation was almost 98%, and then revenue to debt profile was almost nothing. We understand those parameters. But now, are you aware that within this next how many years? Mr. President has been in office for 2 years, and right? Yes. Mr. President took the burden from 87. Now it is nearing almost 140. So if you look at it, Mr. President under 2 years had borrowed close to 50 trillion. Buhari borrowed 67 in 8 years, with subsidy being in place. With subsidy, we are giving a rough figures, so for you to understand what we are saying. With subsidy, borrowed over 60 something trillion, with subsidy being in place. But now, under 2 years, Mr. President had borrowed close to 50 trillion without subsidy. So people have begun to ask, what was the essence of subsidy removal? He has explained many times that it allows state more resources to function. But people are not feeling the impact of the increased allocations to state at the grassroots level. And Mr. President will come out many times, I've seen him many times asking state governors to show cause why people should have this impact at grassroots level, even without subsidy. And that is why so many people are saying Nigerians are hungry, there is hunger in the land, there's a lot of inflation, devaluation. And that devaluation of its own hit us more because it was instigated by the money lenders. So, but the point remains that we have not seen the major reason or even the huge benefit of this subsidy. And see, we've not see the most important thing: household income. And the government has not prioritized, has not fathomed how to make household to have more income. It's not about building bridges, building roads. What about household income?
All right, Tony, let's quickly attend to some commercials. It is what it is, hoping that someday the change we desire would come to us. But then, if we have some time, probably before we end the show, recall when the story about the philanthropist slash social media charity person Okulora trended, and how he spoke about his kidnappers being from Imo State and all of that. Well, there is a report that some people who now claim to be the supposed kidnappers have come out to defend themselves. If we have time, we should look into that. It's a developing story, and that's why we actually didn't give it a lot of priority when we started. But we might just hint on where it is at the moment, hoping that in the coming days more proof will be given, because they are also promising to prove that what they are saying in the coming days. For now, we attend to some commercials. Do stay.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
2021 orukwa ka o si eru mgbe anyị nwere ohere ijikọ aka ọnụ wepụta onye ga-anọchite anya anyị na Anambra State House of Assembly n'ụlọ omebe iwu Anambra Steeti. Mimi Ifeoma Azikiwe bụ nwaanyị nwere ọgụgụ isi nakwa mmụta zuru oke, nwaanyị na-eme obi ebere. Ọ bụ nwaanyị dị mma Chukwu zitere anyị ije nọchite anya anyị na 16th n'ọnwa Ọgọst n'afọ a. Ka anyị nụpụtanụ n'igwe kwado Mimi Ifeoma Azikiwe site n'ibinyere otu pati APGA aka n'ebe esere ọkụkọ. Ebe ka anyị ga-ebinye aka ebe esere ọkụkọ tụnyere Mimi Ifeoma Azikiwe maka nnọchite anya bụ Igba.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Opa kitchen they does yellow. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread, na kitchen and do. Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, Ninta. Wendy's bread, you get it better tasty we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your bachichoma. Wendy's bread, the champion.
Wendy's bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
And of course, we've gotten to the point where we get to open up the phone lines and hear what you have to say. Put a call across. What do you have to say concerning all of the matters on the desk this morning? Starting from politics, River State, Fire Me, Taraba State, down to debts in the different states. Of course, we are learning that we earn money now to service not just debt, but international debt. You know what the cost of dollar is at the moment. And also some other matters concerning the flood alert that has been given 15 more states, right? As much as we didn't look into that, we've been hammering on that for quite some time now, hoping that people who are supposed to be responsible for the security of people in terms of getting them to the uplands, keeping them away from the flood disaster, do the needful. We've also looked at the 93 fraudsters arrested in Ogun State, and you can put a call across to 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning. Stick to 2 minutes. Be as objective as possible. Turn on the volume on your radio set.
My name is Comrade Walter, and I'm calling you from Onitsha. Can I go on?
Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. What is happening in River State reminds me of this thing we do when we are, children during rainy season. We call it Takaka, when all the kids in the neighborhood during rainfall, all of us will come outside, play, naked, just those things we do that time, something people do in the jungle. We do all those things. That is what is happening in River State. Because if you look at the people who are involved in this thing, you begin to marvel. Why is the interest of one person? Why is the interest of one person is overriding even the Constitution? The judiciary are involved in this shamelessness. The legislators, they are involved in this shamelessness. The executive, even the opposition, the main opposition party, PDP. There was a time PDP governors, went to court to challenge that illegal suspension of River State Governor. See, today, we don't know, we haven't heard anything about that case till today. So, it baffles me, because this is a clear case of those of us that read this book called Animal Farm in secondary school. This is exactly what is playing out. And as time goes, instead of us to advance in democracy, we are derailing. Okay? This is the height of absurdity. And me personally, I'm even worried. I'm worried, honestly. It's not about Fubara. It's not about weekend. It's not about. It is about that thing we say we are practicing. That is democracy, and there is no hope inside. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's hear what you have to say. Good morning.
Aha. I am Badmos. I'm calling from Newu.
Go ahead, Badmos.
Good. The three candidates that are contesting for House of Assembly, the women, I have dived into their profile, and I have found out that none of them live with men. They're born for different men. The other one born from three different men. The other one born two. The other one don't born for three different. Is it the people that will come and represent them? It is very shameful that none of them is living with men. They are not. They are most of them. They are either divorced. Their husbands are dead. They are not.
Badmos, hold on.
Yeah.
You have the right to your opinion, but we cannot accommodate ad hominem.
Okay.
We cannot accommodate that. Please, it's better you veer off from the lane where you are now and go to a more decent conversation.
So what I'm saying is this. Anyway, let's see what will happen. Then let me go to the other side. Tony says that the election in the River State is illegal or something like that. It is the duty of the court of competent court. It is the court that will say whether it is illegal or not. Because the sole administrator wants to do election in local government. You understand? So it is his own election, not the election of the governor. So if the governor comes in, wants to absorb them into his government, it's better for him. If he don't want, that's it. So I don't see anything there. If it is illegal or constitutional, as everybody is saying, let the court say it. And as it stands now, nobody is saying anything, which means what they are doing is good. It is in line with what is happening in this country. Let me stop here.
All right, Badmas. Like I would always say, when we open the phone lines and your call connects, be as objective as possible. Objective means you have absolutely no right to talk down on anybody or even to delve into their personal matters. For God's sakes, that is totally out of the bone of contention. It is not your story to tell, and it should in no way be put up in the conversation when a woman wants to get into offices like what the women are vying for. Please, let's not make this. Let's not just go back and forth with this. It won't be nice. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
This is Dakamere.
Your name is? Turn down the volume on your radio set, please.
I've done that.
Your name is?
This is Akamere.
Go ahead, Akamere.
Yes, I'm calling from Figi.
Go ahead, you have 2 minutes. Be as fast as possible.
Okay. Just I want to react to what our security agents like EFCC, what they are doing. I don't think that what they are doing is good. How can they invade a home of somebody without even a notice? And yet, our leaders are not even complaining. They're not saying anything just because they know that those agencies are working for them. I remember what happened at Ruchas Okorocha's residence last time. He was in the house. I saw the way he was trying to hide so that these EFCC people will not come. into his home and arrest him. They were climbing even the ceiling. I don't think that these people, I don't know whether did they have learning? Did they have a place where they taught these people how to operate? I don't know what they are doing. So, but what we are doing, even these governors, deputy governor that was capacitated, and yet the governor has not declared him, unfit to rule that state. It's because the governor know that man is working for him. But if that deputy governor is against the governor, you will know that the governor will come out immediately and chase him out. This has been the kind of rulers we are having in this state. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. 0803-221-6973. Hello, good morning. You're on. Good morning.
George calling from Masaba.
Go ahead, George.
For me, you see, the way that EFCC go about harassing people, talking about this internet fraudster, is very, it's total condemnable. If you have ever witnessed the place that they came, I witnessed one that they came to arrest one young guy at Mabui at Papana Road one day. I went to the area to go and walk. The full area was locked down for more than hours. Complete grounded. That if you came, you would see that there is Nigeria, that they are shooting movie there. Lock the entrance of the street, lock up everywhere, with a man with fill up with arms. I'm asking myself, if this energy that they are putting in arresting, see, I'm not supporting anybody that is doing foster. I'm not one of them. But if all this energy that they are putting in arresting these people, is the same energy they are putting about our politicians that is stealing our money. Imagine for a government that just after those 2 years and they have borrowed money, trying to overtake somebody that stayed from eight years, and today there's no subsidy. And you are comparing this administration with any administration in Nigeria ever. This is one of the worst. It's one of the worst. That is why the abandoned government focus on 2027.
You should be rounding off. You should be rounding off.
Will warrant the reason to vote for him in the next election. That's why the campaign everywhere. I thank God that INEC have come out and won them. And said that it's not the time for election. It's not time for campaign. Like they don't understand why they are seeing billboard every corner that you go. All the APC states, even in my state, in Delta State here, you see actually for 2027, where we are seeing 2025, because the mind is not working. Let those people that is pushing go and tell him that he's not doing the job. Don't put money and spending money lavishly. Look at the way you normally go to the page to donate money. Where the money is coming from? And this is the reason why I say that they are not making any fund available for the office of the first lady. So where is getting the money from? So Nigeria, we need to be serious. We need
All right,
to
I have to let you go at this point.
We are not ready for it.
Your point has been noted. Good morning. Are you there? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Chidi Chukuma, reaching you from board this morning.
Go ahead, please.
Very good morning to you, Chisom.
Good morning.
Franklin and the Dr. Olisa Mbeki. Very good morning to you. Yes, let me speak on this Taraba, the deputy governor, being absent for 8 years, for 8 months now. I think out of 4 months, 8 months is close to 1 year. So for somebody to be absent from the duty because of sickness is just too much. Why not throw in the towel and look after his health? It is totally unacceptable for somebody to be absent for such a long time. And now somebody has been appointed, a position that's supposed to be occupied by the election. By mandate now, the governor has appointed somebody. And that person is not doing it free of charge. You have to receive the salary incapacitated. If he cannot resign, why not the state assembly do the needful by impeaching him? Let him go and look after himself. Why are we behaving this way? If you go to another jury, you can't see this kind of thing. And if somebody is sick, it's simple. Resign and look after your health. That position is not your best right. If you are not capable, the constitution is clear on that matter, that if you are incapacitated, there is no need of you wasting your time, wasting people's time and the money to let him go and the rest and look after his health. That is better for me.
All right.
Let me stop here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your contribution.
I wanted to tell you that what the constitution talks about is not incapacitated, but permanently incapacitated. We must differentiate the two. There is difference between incapacitated for the time being and permanently incapacitated. So constitution, just like we mentioned during the analysis, talks about permanent incapacitation. So is the deputy governor permanently incapacitated? The answer is no. So
Tony, can I read something here? Okay, let me read this. That's section 189 subsection 1. It says the governor or deputy governor of a state shall cease to hold office if A, by a resolution passed by 2/3 majority of all members of the executive council of the state, it is declared that the governor or deputy governor is incapable of discharging the functions of his office, and the B, the declaration in paragraph A of this subsection is verified after such medical examination as may be necessary by a medical panel established under section 4 of this section in its report to the Speaker of the House of Assembly. Then subsection 2 says where the medical panel certifies in its report that in its opinion the governor or deputy governor is suffering from such infirmity or body or mind as renders him permanently incapable of discharging the functions of his office. Then from there, they can now issue notice to the assembly.
Stroke isn't a very...
Is it
How many
permanent?
people... Stroke may not be permanent, but we all know that stroke doesn't have the same... it doesn't have like a recovery date. Yeah. It's not like telling somebody he's undergoing malaria treatment, and we all know that give or take, in 7 days is fine. For stroke, it's a whole lot more.
Yeah.
There is the physiotherapy that would even come after you have been certified medically fit.
Yeah.
It's just like you learning to do so many things again because your body is recovering from a temporal paralysis.
Yeah. I have always anchored my thought on what the law says. What is the position of the law?
The law wasn't explicit on conditions like stroke. Stroke is near permanent.
No, it is left for the medical team to now look into and says, you know what, this stroke, the one we are seeing now, because there are many degrees of stroke,
definitely.
This one we are seeing now has rendered you permanently incapacitated. The word there is permanent.
All right then, if you can do this in a minute, please go ahead. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. You keep eating into my time. How are you sitting here? And I'm a bit upset, of course. Anyway, Sha. See that as Udala Gadeli Okia. I like Udala one carry so need to show you what Udala and I like your mama. Which is your I'm a Henry got to me. I'm not 1 minute. Now to the issue at hand. Servicing dead. My name is Odasi. For crying out loud. Fake. And initially I thought it was just a comedy of errors when our leaders were buying yachts. The renting houses, centers, I thought maybe they may begin to have a rethink. Unfortunately, it's not like that. Why is it that us, the citizens of this country, we the people, ask them, why are you doing this to us? In my tradition, where I come from, you don't owe. It's a taboo to owe indefinitely. And you keep borrowing and mortgaging the lives of your children yet unborn. It's a taboo. Nigerians, maybe our democracy is not just what it should be. Let's go back to our normal culture. You don't go borrowing. In any language, any culture in our country, it is morally wrong. Yes, it is. Spiritually wrong. got to start. Onoposha and Co. They have to follow now. Oh yeah, we can you know. And I want to remind us most time, democratic governance is a continuum. Life is dynamic and it comes with changes, especially those saying 4 months, 5 years, and what have you. As you move on, there is creativity. You produce new people, you produce new problems. So, new creativity comes with its own problems. It's how you challenge it. And I believe that's what Mr. Tito is trying to tell us. Yes, the one I have at hand now, I think I can address all this within 4 years. Yes, that's what he's trying to say. And why? Because the people in the saddle now are doing the wrong thing. That is the main reason.
All right. Let's quickly go to Facebook now, Franklin, and see what's there.
Okay, so Sebastian says, he posted from Ugabobosi. He says, my speaker, any person or group of persons complaining about the way and manner EFCC are going about their so-called duties is doing that on his own. Honestly, as long as we remain in this old narrative of selfish leaders at different countries of power, any institution is there to act according to their wishes because no checks and balances. As a matter of fact, the INEC and judiciary are the brain behind all these unwholesome developments we see today in our political space. I think I have to cut it there. Then, as Hillary says, we should be worried as a nation if this is what our youth have seen Yahoo as a means to survive. But no, what our government is worried about is election. Politicians have traded our future as a nation. We are now resorting to self-survival. That is why there is no love in the society again. I might be wrong though. I stand to be corrected. Okay. We have another post from Emmanuel Chiadi. He says, my take is simple. Beyond FG imperial presidency, state capture thanks to judiciary has put River State in jeopardy. APC government. Okay, from former President Muhammad Buhari to the present one remains a drama of pseudo-progressivism, neither patriotic nor nationalistic. Simply put, fiscal rascality and misplacement of priorities continue to resonate thanks to Machiavellians in our public landscape. And then Izuchi Nwawuzie says, the truth is that River State Judiciary is under Wike, and Rotarian Obia Wike Christopher says he was posting from College of Education in Suba. He says judiciary should be largely blamed for what is happening in River State. Their silence and refusal to take the president on a legal battle tells what their interest is, which is I don't care attitude, money or not to uphold the justice system. President Tinubu broke all I know law in River State and we are just watching. And the Master SJP, I tried to reconstruct your statement, but all the same, thank you for joining and the posting on our page.
All right then, gentlemen, this is where we get to take down the curtain. Tony, what would your last words be for today?
I'm thinking, since the PDP governors lodged that very suit before the Supreme Court, why is it taking long? Most times there are cases that will be discharged with utmost urgency to save democracy. I had thought by now that case ought to have been entertained, but I don't know what is causing the delay. I don't know, and then I won't say much about that. And then there is also a drama going on in aviation sector again. I've been watching it. Yeah, it's actually going viral. Where a female passenger, definitely a female passenger assaulted a female air hostess.
She assaulted a lot of persons from that video.
All right, and then
she had to be.
She was bundled, and when she was being bundled, her private part had to be exposed.
Okay, Tony.
So why are these things happening? But that's what happened.
Impunity is becoming the order.
That is impunity. Why are we having this kind of impunity?
I keep on saying this thing because the way we build strong men. That's why I keep on seeing this complaint, because if you watch that video very well, you see that at a point in time she was even trying to make a call. Or let me call the boss who is going to reign on the whole situation. The thing is this: somehow we support this kind of new behavior because people who are somewhere at the top have a way of supporting such bad behavior.
To think that madness was all about turning off your phone.
Exactly.
Simple
Just
procedure. Turn off your phone as we take off. Turn off your phone as we land. Like you said, we have people who support impunity. And we're hoping that someday would be the great nation that we all desire. And that takes work from myself and, of course, from you. Because what do they say about little drops of water making the mighty ocean? You do the right thing, I do the right thing, and gradually the Nigeria of our dreams would be ours to live in. Thank you for being a part of today's edition of the Polity. It's going to make a return tomorrow, 9:15. Down to 11 a.m. Until then, my name is Chisom Chinedu. Good morning. I'm leaving you in the hands of Timmy Dakolo. The song is Great Nation. I hope it reminds you.